Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the news postcard on TayNinhTV with some last events now private as well as nationwide. And here are our stories today. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of a working program in TayNinhTV on July the 23rd, the member of the Party Central Committee, Vice Chairwoman of the National Sampling Nguyễn Thị Thanh visited and worked with the Long Court border guard station located in Tuyên Bình Commune. Accompanying the delegation, there were Secretary Provincial Party Committee Nguyễn Văn Quyết and leaders of Provincial People's Council and People's Committee. After listening to the report from the Long Court border guard station, Vice Chairwoman of the National Sampling Nguyễn Thị Thanh highly appreciated the combat readiness of the border guards and functional forces on the southwestern border. The Vice Chairwoman of the National Assembly emphasized the importance of the border security issues when Taynin has nearly 370 kilometers of border lines. Vice Chairwoman of National Assembly Nguyễn Thị Thanh requested the border guards to continue to maintain national security while creating favorable conditions to promote the local social-economic development. On this occasion, the Vice Chairwoman of the National Assembly Nguyễn Thị Thanh presented the meaningful gifts to the unit, demonstrating the deep concern and encouragement of the party and the state leaders for the border guards. The delegation then visited and burned incense at the National Historical Site of Long Court Fort, Tuyên Bình Commune of Taynin Province. The delegation led the rest and burned incense and respectfully observed a minute of silence commemorating the contribution of more than 8,000 wounded heroic martyrs who fell in the resistance wars to protect their homeland in the Long Court Fort area. The Vice Chairwoman of the National Assembly expressed her boundless gratitude for the heroic sacrifices of the generations of corps soldiers and outstanding children of the country who devoted their lives in exchange for the peace and independence of the nation.
During the working trip to TayNinhTV Province, the National Assembly delegation led by Vice Chairwoman of the National Assembly Nguyễn Thị Thanh presented many gifts to families with meritorious services and people with revolutionary contributions in Tân Đồng Commune. Participating with the delegation, there were Secretary of the Provincial Party Committee Nguyễn Văn Quyết and leaders of the National Assembly delegation of TayNinhTV Province, the People's Council, People's Committee, and provincial departments, branches, and sectors. Speaking at the places visit, Vice Chairwoman of the National Assembly Nguyễn Thị Thanh emphasized, July 27 every year is an occasion to show gratitude to those who have sacrificed and contributed to the independence and freedom of the fatherland. Meeting, visiting, and presenting gifts to families with meritorious services and people with meritorious services is not only a political responsibility, but also a commitment from the heart, demonstrating the morality of when drinking water, remember its source, the profound humanitarian spirit of the people. She hopes that families will continue to promote revolutionary traditions and actively build their homeland to become more and more prosperous and civilized. On this occasion, Vice President of the National Assembly Nguyễn Thị Thanh and the delegation presented 200 gifts to policy families and people with meritorious services to the revolution in the commune, expressing sincere gratitude to those who have sacrificed and contributed to the fatherland.
And continuing the series of activities to honor the heroic martyrs, policy families, and the people with the workers on the occasion of the 78th anniversary of the World Village and Martyrs Day, the afternoon of July the 23rd, a working delegation of the Provincial Party Committee, People's Council, People's Committee, and Vietnam Phalang Front Committee of Taynin Province, led by Deputy Secretary Provincial Party Committee and head of Provincial National Assembly delegation Phạm Hùng Thái, visited and presented the gifts to outstanding policies and families in Bình Hiệp Commune. The working delegation visited 3 outstanding policy families in Ông Nhang Tây Hamlet, Bình Tây 1 Hamlet, and presented its family with a gift for 42 million Vietnam dong. On this occasion, the Deputy Secretary Provincial Party Committee, head of the Provincial National Assembly delegation of Taynin Province, Phạm Hùng Thái, also presented 100 gifts to families with meritorious services in Bình Hiệp Commune. Its gift was bought for 1 million Vietnam dong in cash, and these are the gifts that Mr. Phạm Hùng Thái mobilized from the benefactors to support. Along with the meaningful gifts, each place visited, the Deputy Secretary Provincial Party Committee and head of Provincial National Assembly delegation from Hung Thai kindly visited the Warren Village, the families of policy beneficiaries and the people with meritorious services, affirming that the party in the state and the people never forget the sacrifices of these families. He also hopes that the families of policy beneficiaries and the people with meritorious services will continue to promote the revolutionary tradition, always being a shining example for the younger generations to follow.
Deputy Secretary of the Provincial Party Committee, Chairman of the Provincial Vietnam Federal Committee Nguyễn Thanh Hải, and the working delegation also visited the family of the former standing Deputy Secretary of the Provincial Party Committee, TA term Lê Văn Chính, who grew up during the Resistance War, who had been attached to and devoted to the party's work for many years on the morning of July 23rd. Here, Deputy Secretary of the Provincial Party Committee, Chairman of the Provincial Vietnam Federal Committee Nguyễn Thanh Hải, and the working delegation kindly inquired about his health and expressed gratitude for his contributions to the cause of building and defending the fatherland and his work and dedication to building the former Long An province, now Tây Ninh province. At the same time, he hoped that Mr. Lê Văn Chính and his family would continue to promote the revolutionary tradition and contribute to the cause of building his homeland Tây Ninh. Mr. Lê Văn Chính grew up during the Resistance War before working at the Provincial Party Committee office. Through his work and dedication, he was elected. He was elected as the standing Deputy Secretary of the Provincial Party Committee, the 8th former Long An province.
And the member of Provincial Party Standing Committee and Vice Chairman of the Provincial People's Committee, Đoàn Trung Kiên, has representatives of the departments and branches visited and presented the gifts to the people with revolutionary contribution being cared for at the Provincial Social Work Center at Nhị Thành Servely Wounded Soldiers in Thủ Thừa Commune. The Provincial Social Work Center is currently caring for and nurturing for 11 policy cases, including 16 soldiers, the children of martyrs, wives of martyrs, and the people infected with the toxic chemicals. The members of the delegation kindly visited, encouraged the spirit, and presented meaningful gifts to the cases being cared for here. The delegation also visited and presented the gifts at Nhị Thành Servely Wounded Soldiers Village, Thủ Thừa Commune. And here, the Vice Chairman of the Provincial People's Committee also kindly inquired about the health and the life of the servely wounded soldiers and relatives of the martyrs. It is known that the village previously has 17 servely wounded soldiers, 7 of whom have now passed away, and 10 wounded soldiers are being cared for and treated. At the place visited, the Vice Chairman of the Provincial People's Committee, Đoàn Trung Kiên, expressed sincere gratitude for the great contributions and sacrifice of the Warren Village and 6 soldiers, relatives of martyrs, and the people with meritorious services to the revolution in the course of the national liberation and defense of the fatherland. The Vice Chairman of the Provincial People's Committee hoped that the families will continue to promote revolutionary traditions, actively educate and encourage, be shining examples for the younger generation to follow, and actively educate and encourage their children to study and work, contributing to the development of Tây Ninh homeland. And ladies and gentlemen, with a joyful energy and spirit of volunteering for the community, the Summer Youth Volunteer Campaign in 2025 in Tây Ninh is taking place enthusiastically and spreading the spirit of responsibility, creativity, and humanity of the youth. Practical works and tasks not only beautify the countryside, but also contribute to bringing public services closer to the people, affirming the pioneering role of the youth in digital transformation and the rural construction. Since the beginning of July, Tây Ninh province has welcomed hundreds of students from the green summer soldier teams of university, colleges, and intermediate schools in and outside the province to carry out the volunteer work. In recent days, the whole hamlet has become more bustling with more than 250 soldiers of the Regiment 4, Division 5, and green summer volunteer students from the University of Foreign Languages and Information Technology, Ho Chi Minh City. Ho Chi Minh City and the youth volunteer team will also return to do the mass mobilization work as well as carry out projects and tasks for the summer of youth volunteers. During the time of operation in the locality, the school's volunteer team will strive to organize many classes and many summer playgrounds so that the children have a place to study and play during the summer. At the same time, the volunteer team will continue to connect with the soldiers of Regiment 4, Division 5 to carry out the mass mobilization activities and support the locality also. One of the highlights this year is the youth volunteer team supporting the operation of the two-level local government model and providing online public services at the grassroots level. At the Nhật Tảo Commune Public Administration Service Center, the volunteer team operates periodically every Monday and Thursday with 5 to 6 members to support the people in carrying out administrative procedures. Nhật Tảo Commune Youth Union members support the people with writing documents, checking documents, and for the older people who do not remember their electronic identification accounts, they will support them in retrieving their electronic identification accounts and entering the documents online. This year, the Provincial Youth Union Executive Committee continues to organize the activities of the Summer Youth Volunteer Campaign, focusing on one program and 4 campaigns. The program is a support program for the exam season, and the time is from April to August of 2025. The 2025 Summer Youth Volunteer Campaign in TayNinhTV province not only contributes to bringing a new look to the rural areas, but also strongly spreads the spirit of dedication, the solidarity between the youth and the community. It is a vivid proof of the responsibility, humanity, and aspiration for the contribution of today's youth.
In order to boost the spirit and motivation of the young people in the Green Summer Campaign, Secretary of the TayNinhTV Provincial Youth Union TayNinhTV and the delegation of Ho Chi Minh City University of Education visited and encouraged the Green Summer Youth Volunteer Team who are performing their duties in the border commune of Dong Thanh. At the meeting, the soldiers reported on the progress of the campaign after more than 10 days of activities, with many practical tasks such as cleaning up the self-managed youth routes, summer activities for children, visiting and giving gifts to former youth volunteers, supporting people to perform online public services, cleaning the houses, covering martyr sales. Secretary of TayNinhTV Provincial Youth Union TayNinhTV praised the spirit of initiative and quick adaptation of the volunteer team and acknowledged the practical work, strengthening the beautiful image of youth in the border area.
The 2025 Green Summer Volunteer Campaign in TayNinhTV province is entering its peak period with many practical and meaningful activities, and this year the campaign met a special mark with the participation of the Chung Cheong Nam Province Youth Volunteer Group of the Korea, contributing to enriching the international exchange activities and spreading the spirit of volunteerism. This year, the campaign met a special mark with the participation of the Chung Cheong Nam Province Youth Volunteer Group of Korea, contributing to enriching international exchange activities and spreading the spirit of volunteerism. During the 6th day and 8 days in TayNinhTV province, 16 students of the Chung Cheong Nam Province Youth Volunteer Group and the students of Tinh Trụ High School joined hands to build the works, Friendship Stone Benches, Friendship Flower Garden, plant souvenir trees, organize children activities, and experience the traditional cultural beauty of the two countries. Although there may be some differences in communication during the 6 days and 8 nights due to the language differences, I believe that through the memories and precious time together, we will become true friends with a deeper relationship. Not only it is an exchange activity, the campaign is also an opportunity for the youth of the two countries to grow up together, share together, and build a close cooperative relationship. It must be said that the next summer there will be many new things, especially we have new volunteer groups to support local governments at the 2 levels to gradually implement and transform digitally popular movements and digital apprenticeships. And more special is that international student volunteer groups also came to TayNinhTV province to organize the volunteer activities also. Among them, we welcome a delegation from the Chung Cheong Nam province of the Korea to organize 6-day volunteer activities in the communes and wards, such as Long An wards, Thủ Thừa Commune, Tinh Trụ Commune, in exchange with the young college, especially students of Tinh Trụ High School. And through cultural exchange and volunteer activities, the program not only brings meaningful experiences to the young people, but also contributes to strengthening the friendship between the youth of TayNinhTV province and the Chung Chau Nam province of the Korea, between the two countries of Vietnam and Korea.
Ninh Commune leaders recently had a working session and surveyed the TayNinhTV Biên Hòa Agricultural Processing Complex project to grasp the advantages and advantages in the operation process.
Located on the west side of the Vam Co Dong River, the TayNinhTV Biên Hòa Agricultural Processing Complex project has an area of 37 hectares with a total investment of more than 1,700 billion Vietnam dong in Nam Bến Sỏi hamlet, Ninh Tiền Commune, invested by Biên Hòa Thanh Long Stock Company. The project consists of 3 items: construction of a packaging factory, warehouse, and a factory producing sugarcane juice and drinks from agricultural products. The expected completion time of the entire factory is in the first quarter of 2026. When put into operation, the processing complex will create jobs for 300 workers in the locality and neighboring areas. However, during the implementation process, the project encountered a number of problems. Currently, the investor is submitting to the Provincial Service Committee for amendments and new adjustment due to new updates on technology, progress, and cost. The local government will always accompany the enterprise during the construction process, as well as when the project is completed, put into production and business operations, creating stable jobs.
Improving the quality of accommodation facilities will not only help TayNinhTV after merger complete the tourism value chain, but also create a foundation for sustainable development and regional identity. And to realize this, TayNinhTV needs a synchronous and long-term development strategy. In the former Long An province, there are nearly 20 tourist accommodation facilities that meet the minimum standards of facilities, techniques, and services for tourists. The former TayNinhTV province also has about 670 accommodation facilities. This is an important foundation to help TayNinhTV after the merger improve the service capacity, approach international standards, and promote the high-quality tourism. In order to improve the quality of accommodation facilities, in the coming time, TayNinhTV Tourism Ministry will focus on planning the accommodation system by segment operating facilities, especially in the low-class group, and at the same time focus on training human resources, supplying technology, promote social investment associated with ecotourism, community tourism also.
And ladies and gentlemen, in order to minimize the damage caused by the storm number 3, the V1 storm, Highland communes in Lao Cai province have proactively implemented the measures to evacuate the people to safe places to protect the people's lives and property also.
And due to the impact of the floods, the house of Mr. Cứ Ayu families in Hồng Nhì Pa village of Lao Chai commune suffer a landslide on the positive slope behind the house and negative slope in front of the house. And to ensure the safety of the family's lives and property, Lao Chai commune mobilized the family to move their house out of the landslide area. And to the impact of the storm number 3, heavy rain continued in Lao Chai commune of Lao Cai province from the night of July the 21st to the morning of July the 22nd. Lao Chai commune authorities came to inspect and mobilize the families in the landslide-prone areas to evacuate to the safer places. My house is located in an area with a high risk of landslides, so after rebuilding the house, I feel very secure living here. However, if a landslide occurs, my family will proactively be ready to evacuate to avoid damage. Upon receiving information that storm number 3 would cause heavy rain and positive flash floods and landslide on the night of July the 21st and the morning of July the 22nd, Lao Chai commune quickly established a team to inspect vulnerable areas at risk of landslides and flash floods. Recently, Lao Chai commune has evacuated for 6 households in the areas at risk of landslides. The commune has established a team to propagate to each household, especially to review the household with the high landslide risk characteristics, to mobilize the people to evacuate to safe places and trying to minimize the human and property losses. In the face of unpredictable weather development, and the highland communes of Lao Cai have identified areas and locations with the high landslide risk, mobilize people to evacuate to the safe areas and try to minimize possible human and property losses.
And that's all for today, TV News. Thank you for being with us, and goodbye for now.